It's funny. When I start noticing the actual progress, it's actually harder for me to justify continuing sometimes. It's like I feel like I don't have a why half the time. And the I guess the feeling isn't it's not I don't have a why. It's that the why seems inconsequential. Like I had a whole speech already written out in my head, and it dissipated by the time I got here. Does that mean it wasn't good enough to be worth remembering? Does that mean I have a weird symptom of memory loss, or does it mean nothing at all? And then, where are we right now? Where are we headed? Why are we headed there? And yet, at the same time, there is a strange feeling at the back of my head that I can't shake, that something important is just around the corner. This is a pervasive thought that has maintained for a while, or at least maintains when I am in quote unquote good standing with myself, where I'm actually maintaining myself and things are on the up and up. I usually start to try and see threats around the corner. I think it's probably something to do with getting attached to your station, as it were, and my fear based in there, because my perception has been that every time I get attached to something, it goes away. So, as a result, I've learned either to not show or try and express, or I've been trying not to get attached to things. And it doesn't really end well. And I only recently figured out, after years of doing this, first, that I am doing it, and secondly, how illogical it is, and how unreasonable and crippling it is for someone to do what I'm doing. So, what do I do? Well, you could make an argument that I am only able to do what I've been set up to do this long, and yet at the same time, I'm making leaps and bounds that I hadn't been able to make for the past couple of years. Was it situationally set up so that I could only do this now so I could appreciate where I've come from? Or is it such that I was inevitably going to make these decisions? It's the whole causal reality thing. Do you cause your reality, or does reality cause you? And you don't choose to be alive. Somebody else chooses that for you. But then who is the you? Is that you also, are they also you? And if so, then you technically chose, you are the one who chose to be alive and you. So we end up being in a giant circle that leads nowhere, because it's not trying to lead anywhere, it's trying to lead where it goes, and it goes in a circle, and the circle doesn't have to have a reason to be a circle, it just is. Trying to question things that just are, that don't have a rule set, that just do what they do. They're basically an expression of nature itself. And I think I sort of envy that, or am trying to learn to be closer to that, because I don't feel that I have trusted nearly anything that I should have been trusting for the past couple of years. And only recently started doing so out of necessity. And it's, as it were described previously, the quaking mass, trying to fool itself that there is something besides said quaking mass. It's the priest saying to another human that they can tell that it's just God in disguise, because, theoretically speaking, everyone is everything. They just can't see it yet. So, what does a person see? In a situation like this, where I am able to see my best when I'm away from a person, yet I'm drawn to them anyway, does this mean that I am meant to gain some sort of insights while they're away, and then, because when I'm near them, I toss them all out the window? Or is it meant to be that I'm able to retain them so thoroughly on my own that the next time I see them, I am able to apply them? This has been incredibly difficult for me. Also, it could be neither, or something in between. And that thought is infuriating. I of course, want to try and solve I want to try and solve a unsolvable problem, because that way I always have something to toil towards. But I suppose I'm trying to have an imaginary what if, as opposed to trying to apply to the ifs that actually exist. There is always more to be doing. There is always something better that I could aim for within my grasp. It's just a question of how much of what I do is, well, it was aiming for a specific tangible goal, which is probably why I like things that are more visible. But it's like farming, I suppose. You have to trust that your crops will yield, and you can't always watch what they're doing, but a patient person is able to witness anyway. And sometimes distance is what is necessary for multiple parties, as hard as that can be, because you would simply hurt each other if you were too close. It's like putting a youngling into a heated chamber. But if you put the heat too close, it's a problem, and if it's too far away, it's a problem. There has to be a specific distance that is carefully administered. And for what goal do we do this? To see what there is to see. I think at this point I am at, I've probably mentioned this many times before, but I'm at the point where I can't not be productive, because it's simply muscle memory at this point, and that's a good thing. It's taken a long time to get here, because I have never had to work before, really. Everything I have wanted just comes to me seamlessly. So now that I'm realizing that I have power, and that life can be difficult if I want it to be, and just simply apply myself to anything, the question is actually what I want, rather than having what is handed to me. And how much of what I want is what is handed to me, and how much of what I want that is handed to me can I obtain on my own without asking for it? Or in a different context, I suppose. How much of I want that I can ask for that I don't want people to give to me can still be afforded to me, regardless of my desire to be standing alone, as it were.